I'm so sorry. There was a disconnection from my side. I'm not sure why it is happening. Yesterday also it has happened. I'll check this part. So from tomorrow onwards, you will not face any problem as such.
Yeah. Hi, Kiran.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Good morning. Yeah. Couple of questions about the recordings.
sure.
How long the recordings will be available?
I think till the batch ends, it would be there, but needs to check with the team as well. I'll check with them and I'll let you know tomorrow. Is that okay?
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, we just want to know like
I think it will.
like
It
is it
will.
for 6 months or 6 months or
Yeah,
like
yeah. Most
3 months
probably
or
that
like
would be.
1 year?
Yes.
Because sometimes we want to revisit the recordings, some
Exactly.
of the
Exactly.
recordings, right?
You
May
guys
not
have.
be all the recordings, but at least a couple of recordings. So
No, I
just
don't
wanted
think
to.
I don't think it will go off actually. It will be there for you till 6 months, but I'll
Yeah,
reconfirm it once I check with
yeah,
them.
just check that one. And
Sure.
if you can prepone the session an hour early, if everyone is okay and you're okay,
An hour
okay,
early is bit tough because it's 7 o'clock Indian time.
or
So
30 minutes, yeah,
yeah,
I know,
30
I
minutes. Even
understand.
even I even I am planning to go with
Yeah,
30 minutes.
if everyone agrees,
Yeah.
yeah, okay,
Yes. So I'll recheck this point as well. I mean, I'll have to check with the team and I'll have to get back to you. So anyway, I'll
okay,
take this
sounds
point.
great.
I'll take this point.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Yeah,
So we'll continue this. So I hope my screen is visible to everyone.
yeah, it's visible for me.
Oh, okay, good. So then, we discussed about the programming languages which are there in the market, and then what is enterprise resource planning, and what is the exact business process which is going on in the real time. And then we also discussed the real picture of business process yesterday. What is enterprise? What is resource? What is planning? And how individual process works in the real time. And then we have the different modules in SAP and which module does what. Everything was discussed yesterday. So we have segregated into three modules: functional, technical, admin modules, and what exactly the module does, and who was responsible for what we discussed yesterday. And we've also discussed about the rise of elements, which what are all the components which are there in the app and how it has been segregated as a rise of, and what are all the topics which are involved in it was being discussed. And this one I just put it aside because once I get into the topic, I'll explain you what exactly it is. So, and then I've also explained the architecture overview, what exactly the architecture which SAP contains, and what exactly is R3 is all about, and the different work processes we have it work process presentation server, application server, database server, the servers which are in the R3 architecture, and and the different layers of these architectures. So what exactly it does from the presentation layer, application layer, database layer, and then a clear explanation about the individual layers and also the components of the SAP R3 architecture, message server, dispatcher queue, work processes. So all these things we've already discussed about it, and I'll be sharing the PPT today, so you guys can go through all these slides and get an understanding over the subject here. And then today onwards, like we will be getting into the SAP Logon and what exactly was being there in SAP. That's what we are more focused on it, and we were going to discuss about this in a brief. So how the SAP Logon process works. So first of all, we have to understand SAP is a licensed software. So it is not a free software as other programming language does. So SAP is a licensed software. You have to buy the license to get into SAP. So what exactly was the license or the deal is? So whenever a customer want to implement an SAP, so they will reach out to the SAP product company, SAP Labs. It's in Waldorf, Germany, and then they'll reach out to them. And as and when they reach out to them, they will be having an agreement it would be an implementation, or it would be implementation with support or something. Like the business agreements would be there actually. So the business agreements will be done from their side, and they will be giving some cost to the customer, and based on the cost, if the customer agrees, then they'll come and they'll buy the SAP software. As and when the SAP software has been bought to the customer, so the first thing which they does is actually the license agreement. So the license agreement, in the sense, the software will be installed in your system or the customer system, and then from there you will start using that according to your business needs. So that would be SAP software license is all about. Now, what exactly is SAP Logon? SAP Logon is a kind of screen wherein you get into that and you have many things which are available in it. You does your job there and your business processes, your data, everything will be residing into it. And you will be start accessing that as and when your license has been initiated from the customer side. So your customer is been initiating the license from the SAPs, and then from that day onwards, your SAP logo, everything would be there, and the data manipulation and all will be taken care by the people who are responsible for that particular topic. So as and when the SAP logon is there for you, so SAP logon, I'll just show you how it is actually, but it is not there in the system. I'm so sorry. So today I'll sort it out this one. So this would be like this. This is an SAP logon screen. So it would be there in your desktop, basically. So I mean, if you take the access from the vendor, so it would be there like this. And so S4 HANA is the current system which we are accessing it. When you double click on it, what used to happen is it will prompt you to the give the logon ID and the password. So the logon password has some problem for me. So that's the reason it can't able to log into the system like this. Now there is some problem actually. So that's the reason it is not getting logon. Let me try one more time. No, still the problem exists. So I'll clear this problem today. And this is how the SAP logon works. So this is how the SAP logon works. And this is the username and password, which will give it to you for the individual users or the team users. So there are many cases actually. So a few people have the team user, like they will be using the individual, like their specific password would be there from the client. They will be using it, or the username or the password or the credentials will be using from them. That means like globally they will be using the same thing. Mainly, individual passwords will be given to the individual consultants in SAP. So that means a functional has their functional password, functional credentials, and customer has their own credentials, and then developer has their own credentials like that. So as and when you enter into the organization, so people will start giving you to the access of SAP, and they'll create these credentials exclusively for you, and they will give it to you through email. So as and when you get into the system, so the basis team will make you to understand about the SAP logon, and they'll install that into the system. So SAP logon will be in your system like this. I'll show you. So SAP logon is something like your icon in your desktop like this. If you can see, this is an icon like SAP logon will be there. So once you double click on it, so it will open like this. So once you double click on this one, you have the system open. Okay. In some cases, what used to be done, so they will be giving some application server instance like that. You can add your own system. I mean, once the details have been given to you, what used to be done is like you have to go here, click on new, and then next. So the description, application server, instance number, system ID, SAP router string. So in any other training institute, they'll not teach you all these things because they'll just go with the flow. But I'll be teaching you because as and when you get into the real time, this is what it will happen. So people will ask you to log into the system directly. They'll just give them a description, application server, instance number, system ID, SAP router string. So you sometimes, it's not all the time, sometimes you have to add the system to yourself. So in that cases, you will not be, you should not be blank actually. That's the reason I'm teaching you this as well. So when you get into the system, when somebody gave you the details like that, actually, you have to get into the system like this, and you click on this create button and get into here. Next, description, application server, instance number, system ID, SAP router string. It would always be custom application server. It would be the same thing. So as and when you fill all these details, you will be getting into the system. So that is what is my intention is all about to show you. So you will be getting into the system. Since, as I mentioned, like I don't have the proper password to show it to you, so then I can't able to log in into the system. I'll clear this issue and I'll come back to you tomorrow. So to show you what exactly the system contains and all. Okay. So this is the login credentials. As I mentioned, you'll be entering into that and you'll be getting into the system. And a few things I wanted to highlight here, though the system was not available. So this is a cancel, but if you click on this, you'll be logging off the system. And this is a session. So if you want to create a new session, you can create from it actually. And this is a customized layout. So when you click on it, when you click on the options here, so there will be many things which have been available here. So one is a theme or preview settings. So how the screen look like, and the preview has to be like this, and you have many things which are here actually, and there are different themes which SAP provides you by default. SAP signature theme, SAP trade show theme, enjoy theme, blue crystal theme, many themes which have been given by SAP. You can choose your own theme and you can work on it going forward. And there are certain font settings. You can click on this and you can select the font, whatever the font you want it SAP, that will be applied for the entire system. Okay, so some cases you can use these things as well, and some cases people might not teach you all these things. But this is a this as a trainer, I'll be teaching all these things to the students because they have to understand once they get into the company, they'll not be blank actually. So that's the reason I'll be teaching you everything which is there here for you. Okay, and there is something called as local data. If you click on the history tab, you have to make sure that this is on. Why? Because if you get into the system and you go to any of the transaction, I'll teach you what is exactly a transaction is. So when you go to the transaction and you get some value over there actually, so the value will be going off in some time actually. So if you click on, those values will be stayed. When you press enter, the value will be available for you. So this is something, the history will be on or off. So mostly it would be off every time. You have to click on to make it on. Okay. Cool. So then we'll get into the system again, and I will be explaining you how the SAP Logon works. So as you already seen, the SAP Logon was there, the login credentials and all. I've just showed you how it would be. Now I'm going to explain you deeply onto it. First, SAP GUI, when you want to access it, you have to be in a LAN or WAN say Wi-Fi connection or something like that. You have to connect to the internet. That's a main thing. You cannot run the SAP system into an individual systems until unless you took the server access or the installation has been done into the system. If it is there like that, you can able to access it. Or otherwise, in the real time, we will be connecting with a LAN or WAN worker or Wi-Fi to connect to the SAP system. And mostly in the real time, we will be using the Citrix. So Citrix is the desktop which is provided by the customer for you, and you enter into the Citrix, and as and when you enter into the Citrix, there will be a separate desktop will get open for you, exclusively for you. And just like this, so as and when you click on the Citrix, you will enter into this kind of desktop. And once you enter into this, there will be an SAP logon which resides like this somewhere in the desktop. So once you click on it, actually, as I mentioned, there might be a cases like once the system is already available, so you can make use of the system, or sometimes you have to add your system like this. Okay, so there might be couple of cases here. One, the system would be readily available for you. You just have to click it and give the username and password and get into that. Or otherwise, there are certain cases where the system you have to access of your own. What they do, they just send you the email. So based on the email content, you have to add your own system. Okay, I hope this is clear for everyone. And let's get into this slide. Now, so the first thing which I mentioned is you have to connect to internet. That's the first thing. And then the ABAP dispatcher will be there actually. So it would not be directly available or visible to you ABAP dispatcher, but the things will run in the background. So that is what I'm trying to explain, what runs in the background when the SAP GUI launches to you. Okay. As I mentioned, there are dispatcher queues which are existing in the system. So the dispatcher queues will take the request and put it in the queue and executes one by one. That's what I mentioned to you in the yesterday's slide. If you go through the slide actually, so this dispatcher queue will take the work processes, and the work processes will be aligned in a queue, one after the other, one after the other. So as and when the dispatcher queue starts executing it, that will execute the work process in such a way. So it would be executing in a queue level. So the request comes to that, it holds in a queue, and then the other request comes, it holds in a queue. First come, first serve. So that will come and executes the work process. Then the next one comes like that. So it will be a sequential order. So that would be a request queues. The second point is all about. And the third point, the work process. What exactly the work process is? Work process is something when you request something to the SAP logon screen. That means when you go to next screen, or I mentioned it that next session will be opened, you're trying to do something on that screen. So exactly whenever you try to execute something on the screen, it will not happen immediately in the background. It will take that into the screen processor, and then it will go to the ABAP interpreter and the database interface. Everything would be readily available and process your queue. And how the process will happen here? The process will happen here through the task handler. task handler is something which will have your queues in an alignment, and those alignment queues will be handled one after the other. That would be a kind of task handler. That's the job of the task handler, which does. So if you can ask me, sir, can I see all these things in the real time? No, you cannot, because everything will be running in the background of the application server. You cannot see anything in the background, anything in the foreground. You can see only the things which are running in the foreground. You just execute the transaction code over there, that will go and give you the result to you. But these things will run in the background. To make you understand what exactly will happen in the background, I'm explaining you each and every pinpoint of it actually. So this would not be any kind of use for you in the real time, but everything you should know all these things. If somebody questions you, like, you could be in a position to answer all these things. That's the reason I'm explaining you in a detailed way. Okay. So fourth point. So when the task handler has the task in their hand, actually, what it will happen? It will roll in an area. So roll in the sense one after the other. As I mentioned, like, so the first task will go out in the first manner. Second task will be, in a sequential order, and the third task that should be rolling. That should be rolling. You cannot say like, so my task would be there, and if I go back to the same session, so that would be a new task. No, your session only will get rolled out. That means when you get into the transaction one, so what will happen is the transaction one remains in the same, and you will be watching the screen. Transaction two will comes back to that. Transaction three will be there. But when you come back to the transaction one, there will be no task which will be created again. You will be rolling out to the same task, and you will be revolving here and there. So that is nothing but a roll in, a roll area. Okay. So there will be a user context in that actually. So that would be automatically takes care of all the tasks which are lying in it. And the queue will be aligning one after the other in a sequential order. Now, this is the second thing. Accesses. What exactly are the accesses was? These accesses will be there in the application buffer basically, just like factory calendar, screens, ABAP programs, tables, dictionary objects. So few of the things which we'll be covering it in the ABAP. So like factory calendar, screens, ABAP programs, tables, dictionary objects. I'll show you everything practically in the system once the system is up. Okay. So the next thing is ABAP. So ABAP is a programming language, as I mentioned. Every particular statement which you write in ABAP will be processed in the memory. So which will be processed in the different work process, as I mentioned. So when you write a statement, that will go to the work process, that will execute and gives the end result. But the background which is happening is completely different from the way which you are seeing in the foreground. So when your statement has been written from you, so the statement will go to the application server, process it, and brings back the result back to you. So that is what is called an ABAP work process is all about. So I hope this screen is understandable for everyone.
Hey Kiran,
Yeah.
sorry to interrupt you, but I can't hear your voice.
Um, is
It's low.
everyone has the same problem, or you can able to hear it?
Now fine.
Now fine, right? Okay. So Asma, just wanted to mention this. Whenever you have the voice problem and all, just raise it like this. However you like raised it. Okay. So I'll just correct it. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. And then I hope this is clear for everyone. So whatever I mentioned it in the slide, I'm just explaining you clearly on this. So the work processes, request queues first and first out queue, everything I explained you in a detailed way. So you just have to go on through this particular slide and get an understanding of it. So as I mentioned earlier, so whatever the process which is going through in the SAP Logon is what it is mentioned in this particular slide. Nothing else apart from this. So you go through this content and get an understanding for yourself. It's a self-understanding, nothing much. I've already explained you all these things. Okay. Now, log on screen. I mentioned already, I'd show you how the log on screen works in the real time. So this is a log on screen slide, which I've just put up here to make you understanding. So this is a log on screen. So the log on, you will be giving the credentials and get into the system. And if you want to change to the new password, can have the new password as well. Sometimes what they used to do, as and when they get into the system, so what they used to do, they will be giving you the application server, router string, everything. And apart from that, they'll be giving you the initial password. Initial password is something which you have to enter into here. So initial password is something which you enter into here. As and when you gives the initial password, it will show a pop-up here. to create your own password, because every individual developer or a consultant will create their own password, right? So that's the reason they'll put the initial password here. As and when you enter the initial password, the pop-up will get open and you can create your own password of your choice. Okay. Then, so what exactly the contents which are there available in that particular screen, as I mentioned. So this is a command field wherein you give the commands over there. The commands can be transactions, the command can be anything over here. And then this is an application toolbar. This can be called as an application toolbar. Okay, I'll just take you to the system again. So system here, we can't see the application toolbar, but that is a system actually. So this is an application toolbar, and here is a title bar. Okay, here is a title bar. So whoever the logon person who logs into the system, so that user guy, I mean that guy's user ID will be appearing here. So this is a title bar. And this is an application toolbar, as I mentioned, and this is a standard toolbar. The standard toolbar is something which SAP provides by default. If you can see, this is a standard toolbar. This is the one. Okay. This is the standard toolbar which is provided by SAP, which contains back, cancel, everything as an options. Okay. And this is a menu bar. Menu bar in the sense, if you go here, so these are all menu options. If you get into the system, there are many options which will exist. So I'll just give you a clear understanding of what exactly resides in this particular GUI screen as an overview. Okay. So first and foremost thing, this is a command field, and this is an application toolbar, and this is a title bar with whom the user has logged in. So that user ID will be appearing over there. I mean, that user name will be appearing over there. And this is a standard toolbar which contains all the standard buttons which is provided by SAP. And this is a menu bar which resides over here. Next. What kind of a projects SAP contains? So you said like SAP has like many customers, and SAP has go to that SAP, and then the customer will go to the SAP and takes a license from there, and they'll start implementing that SAP and all. But before that, what happens in the background? Let's take an example. I'll give you a real time scenario for you guys actually. So there is a customer called as Asian Paints. So the Asian Paints wanted to implement an SAP. So they wanted to implement an ERP, and they went to the different customers in the real time. They approached JD Edwards, they approached Oracle, they approached BAN, they approached everybody. So end of the day, their quotations, their background of the software in the market. So everything depends on for the customer, right? So they agree to take the license of SAP. Okay. So they went to the SAP. They asked the questions. Oh, here, like what kind of what kind of resources, what kind of things you provide for us, and what kind of options you provide us. How long would be the implementation, and how my business process will fit into SAP system. So these questions will be asked in the initial steps. So as and when the processes are cleared, and as and when SAP people makes them understand what exactly SAP contains and how that fits to their businesses and all. So the initial agreement has to be made actually. So when the initial agreement has been finished, they will get into the implementation. So what exactly the implementation is? Implementation will be as when the Asian Paints client doesn't have anything in their system, they will implement SAP to them. It's just a kind of implementation of a software. As and when they implement it, they will have to migrate the data from the existing business system to the SAP system. So they will migrate the data, and after that, so the customizations. Customizations can be of any type. So customizations can be a custom programs written by developers. Customization can be a configuration which is done by the functional consultant, and customization can be a kind of upgrades or patches which can be taken care by the basis people. Anything can be of customization. So these customizations will be done by the consultants from the SAP. So that would be called as an implementation. So the customizations, configurations, developments, everything would be on the implementation level. Okay, what exactly the upgrade means? When the system was being on the upgrade, existing level. Existing level means it would be something like there are many system level configurations would be there. I'll just give you an example. Okay. So currently the system, let's take an example. Currently the system is on ECC. ECC is one of the version. ECC 6.0 is one of the version, and they wanted to migrate to the next version. So when they migrate it, they'll migrate to EHP. EHP means enterprise pack. So enterprise service pack. So EHP. So it would be like the next version. And EHP has individual versions, EHP 7, EHP 8, like that. So once they get into these systems from ECC, the system will get upgraded. So that is what is called as an upgrade means. So the system will get upgraded. You have the Microsoft upgrades as well, right? So sometimes your laptop says like you are into an upgrade, and that gets rolled out like this. Your system is in upgrade mode. Don't switch off the computer, like that, right? So that upgrade is exactly similar to the upgrade which I mentioned it, but it into the system level. So the system will upgrade to the next version. What exactly happens in the upgrade? Upgrade will make you certain changes in the system level. Okay, so the systems level means in the tables, few fields can be added, or in the some other like function modules or something will get added to the system newly, and something will be changed in the system abruptly. So all these things will be taken care by upgrade level projects. So the implications or the complications, whatever there in the upgrade projects, will be taken by the consultants in the upgrade level. There are some upgrade projects in the real time, so which does the job for us actually. And support. So as and when the implementation gets over in the real time, so they will be going to the support level. What exactly the support means? Support means the implementation was already been over, and the customer is been using the system in the real time to their business needs. As and when they do that actually, so the when the implementation gets over, they will be agreeing with the customer, I mean agreeing with SAP for the support as well. So the support, Asian Paints will go to the support with SAP. So when the support happens, actually, what will happen is they will be supporting the customer for their business needs. So the support tools which are there in the market, like Remedy tool, and then we have Solman tool, we have like Zendesk, we have like ServiceNow. So all the supporting tools will be taken from the customer, and they will be in the when the business runs from the real time. So they will be giving the tickets to the developers or consultants who takes the support. So as and when they took that real-time tickets, actually, they'll resolve it and they'll gives back to the customer. So this is how a typical support process works. But for the support also, they'll have to make a license agreement with SAP. That's how it should work. Okay. So next, roles and responsibilities of a consultant. ABAP consultant, what he does in the real time. Basically, what exactly the job of the ABAP consultant in the real time. This is what this slide is all about. ABAP consultant's role differs from the project wise. As I mentioned, implementation level, upgrade level, support level. ABAP consultant's job will differ actually. So first thing is in any project actually, what exactly an ABAP consultant does is first he'll understand the functional specification. What exactly a functional specification mean? Functional specification in the sense like when the functional consultant, when the SAP system has been taken by the Asian Paints. So what exactly the functional consultant does is functional consultant go to the Asian Paints client and they'll ask the functional understanding. I mean, he'll ask the requirements from the functional level. So functional people will be giving the requirements to the client people gives the requirements to the functional people in a business level. So they don't have any idea about SAP. They'll take the existing business process and they'll say, this is what I want, this is what I want, this is what I want. But before that, in the implementation level, so SAP gives the end user training to the people who are there in the customer level. So they'll get a minimum understanding of what exactly the SAP process was. And then when they get into the system, few teams or few customers or the clients have the consultants of their own. So they will be giving the requirements to the functional people who are there in the SAP level. So that functional requirements, they'll take it and they'll prepare a document which is called as a functional specification. So that is called as functional specs in the real time. So what exactly ABAPer does? ABAPer will take that functional specification and he'll analyze it. Analyze it means he'll be going through the functional specification. He'll be getting an understanding how the functional process works in the real time. Real time business scenario, how the functional process works. And second thing, preparing the technical specs. What exactly the technical specification is? Exactly. For example, a functional specification is something you want to build a report based on the materials which are available in the system. So when you want to build a report, actually, what exactly the report means? So the report is something which is completely from the technical background, but how he understands the functional specification, what exactly the selection criteria would be. If they give the material, it has to display only that material, or if they execute the program, it would give all the materials. So what table it has to go and what BAPI it has to call. So these things I'll explain you later. But these are all the things which are available in the functional specification. So once the functional specification has been clearly understood by the developer, he'll create the technical specification. But this would be a generic process. Technical specification can be created along with the development or after the development also. It depends on the project to project. Some people say as and when you develop half of the part, you parallelly prepare the technical specification. Some companies say you complete your development first, get the code review done, and then you prepare the technical specification. It depends on the company to company. Scenario might changes. Okay. So prepare the technical specification. What exactly in the technical specification? Technical specification here, what exactly it does is the program or the development which he does, he'll take the screenshots and he'll take the exact code. What are all the things which he used in the development? Everything would be put up in the technical specification. So I'll show you the real-time technical spec which I developed for my project actually to you guys, so that you will get a clear understanding how the technical specification would be. Okay, I'll give you the example of functional specification, technical specification as well. So you don't worry about it actually. So just understand the context here. Okay, next, preparing a unit test plan. What is exactly a unit test plan means? When you do the development, you will have to test from your side as well, right? Before giving to the functional people. So that people will do the unit testing from their side. That means developer will test his development twice or thrice and he'll prepare a document based on it. The selection screen or the kind of result, the negative way, the positive way, everything would be done by the developer, and then he'll prepare a document that is called as unit test document, UTD they'll call as. So the operation which he performs is as UTP, unit test plan. So they'll say like, has your unit testing completed from your side? They'll ask like that. So when they ask it, what does it mean? What does it mean is, had he performed the unit testing from his side, I mean developer perspective. Once he performs the unit testing, prepares the document, that document is called a unit test document. Okay. Next, development. Development, as I mentioned, like development can be many kinds. Like as I mentioned yesterday, rise of elements comes into the development area only. So all the rise of elements, like every rise of element comes under development area. So you can get any kind of development in the real time. Next, code review, unit testing. Unit testing, as I mentioned, unit test plan is something which is similar to the unit testing, and code review is something when you develop something, your lead or manager will do the code review. What kind of code you have written, and that code will be good in the real time when it gets to the production or something. What exactly the production system is all about, I'll explain you later. So they'll do the code review, and then unit testing document also they'll review it actually. After that, this development has to be moved to the different system that comes under transportation management. It's a separate topic altogether. And then after that, support. Once you did the development, when it goes to the production, if there are any issues, you would be a responsible person to support the customer. So that would be a support. And after that, end user training. I mean, you do the development, and this is optional. Basically, they knows about it in the customer side. You will be telling them how to use this program or how to use this enhancement or something. You will be giving them many anyway. Like we will be preparing the document, unit test document step by step. They'll be testing in the same way. And sometimes if there is a big tool which you developed, and if you want to give a training, then you give training to the end user. I mean the customers like that. Okay. Okay. So what exactly the job of functional consultants? As I mentioned, functional consultant will understand the business process and collects the business requirement from the customer. So customer may or might not be understanding the SAP system at all. In that cases, he'll explain the functional consultant in a layman language, business language. Functional people understands that and prepares the document which is called as a functional spec and brings back to the SAP. So that's all. So second thing, as I mentioned, functional specification preparation, functional design, PPR, project purchase request. All these things will be taken care by the functional consultants. Functional design would be something like the flow charts will be given by the functional consultant. Sometimes it has to go to this process has to go to the next process go to the next process, like that. Functional people will have a clear understanding in their mind. Based on the business process, they will be designing a functional design. Next, just a moment. I hope now you can able to see. Okay. So, as I explained in the previous steps, I'm just elaborating all these things in a different way, how the technical consultants act in the real-time projects. So preparing the technical specs or technical design, it contains what it exactly contains. It contains algorithms, it contains flowcharts, it contains ER diagrams, UML diagrams, objects information. See, it depends on the scenario. I can't generalize this in a specific way like that every company does the same job, because there are certain companies like Deloitte and then JP Morgan and then like Accenture. So they have a separate technical specification. They'll have the template design ready, and based on the template design ready, people have to fill the gaps. That's it. That's how it should be. And few companies have to generate it from the scratch, because there are companies like Infosys or kind of companies like Tech Mahindra. What they does is actually they have to technical specification. They'll give it just kind of a previous technical specification which somebody other developer has already been developed. So based on that, we'll have to prepare everything from the scratch. That's how the technical specification. Everywhere, mostly the template would be readily available. You don't need to bother about anything. So you just have to mention all these things like if the flowchart is there, you have to get into the flowchart and create a flowchart. If the object information is something like the report or the table or the screen or the template, whatever you developed as part of your development, you have to mention the information here. And UTP, unit test cases, as I mentioned, the unit test document which you prepare, you can attach it here. That would be one case. Or there is a separate a section in the UTP level where you have to paste the screenshots and write some statements over there. You have to write the statements clearly, like how the unit test plan has been executed from your side. And development in the sense, as I mentioned, all the RACE of elements comes under development. There will be developments which are like enhancements, conversions, everything would be there. So you have to develop it. And unit testing is something which I mentioned it. You have to prepare a unit test document. In that, you have to execute your program in a different cases like positive case, negative case, and then all the cases you have to mention in the unit testing document. Code review, as I mentioned, it can be anyone. Like your lead also can do the code review. Your manager can also do the code review. Sometimes your architects get into that involvement if it is a big tool or something. So in my case, I developed a tool last year. I mean, it's an automation tool wherein like my manager has done the development and code review, and after that, my architect has done the code review. So it depends on the cases to cases actually. So when the architect level has done the code review, when there are certain points which needs to be included in the development or kind of technical spec, and they'll inform you. So based on that, you can do the corrections over. Transport management. This transport management task can be done by you or can be done by the basis team. So it depends on the project to project. Sometimes the companies like IBM and all, so they'll not allow you to transport the contents from one system to another of your own. They will have a tool wherein you have to lodge a ticket over there, and based on the ticket, you will have to give all the details. From there, it will take you to the next system. That's how. So sometimes some companies you can able to transport the contents to the next system. From there, they'll take it to the next subsequent systems. It depends on the company to company. It varies actually. And support. As I mentioned, when the development gets over, when you wanted to fix some issues which are facing by the customer for the same development which you did, so you have to get into there and you have to give the support to the customer. Okay. And user training, as I mentioned, like it would be preparing a manual for them. So I mentioned the automation tool which I developed. For that, I prepared a clear manual. So the manual contains all the steps. It's a kind of script, I can say. It's a kind of script. So when they execute or when they go through the demo script, they'll understand what exactly the content which is lying inside, and they will have the clear understanding of the step-by-step process which I mentioned over there. And I have also recorded the video of it. I put it in that particular script. So there are many cases actually. So end user training may be optional. Sometimes it is needed when you go to the big development, when you did a big tooling and that actually. So in that tool development, whatever the things which you did, and if they wanted to generalize it and they wanted to showcase it to anybody of their own, then they'll ask you to prepare an end user manual, or otherwise it's an option. Since I did it of my own in my real time experience, so that's the reason I'm just put it to you. Now, generic support project scenario. As I mentioned, there are different projects in the real time. I will be explaining you what exactly the support project does actually. You did a development, a ABAP did a development, and the development has been tested by the functional consultant after the unit test document has been completed. So the functional people, they'll test it in the development system as well as the quality system. So once the quality system testing has been done, this will be transported to the production system. So the production system is somebody where the Asian Paints people have been using it actually. That's a live business. That's a live business. What exactly is a live business? When they want to create a purchase order as a sales order in the system, that would be readily available in their system. So that is called as a live business actually. So the live business contains all the live information which the business operates. Okay. So when the developer develops some program or some development in the system, it would be transported to the next system. There are two cases here. I'll be clearly mentioning there are two cases. One, you have a testing system which is exclusively designed for you in the real-time project. You can test it. The functional also testing the testing system. Once the test cases are successful, then they will move it to the quality system and they will test it over here. That means the data which is there in the development system might not be same in the quality system. The quality system has a different data. So the data differs, right? So test cases also will differ and there might be a chance of failing the scenarios or something. You should be in a position to take the responsibility of fixing all these issues wherever it is actually. So that is the reason everywhere the functional consultants will perform the testing in both the test system as well as the quality system before moving into the live production system. Okay, because end users use that. So if anything goes wrong in the production system, it would be a big mess actually. So that is the reason they'll perform all the test cases in the before systems and they will move to the production. Okay, now how the support project in the real time works. So you will get a ticket in a different ticketing tools I mentioned. It can be a Solmon, it can be a ServiceNow, wherever it is actually. You'll get a ticketing number. What the ticket contains? Ticket contains the issue. Ticket contains the issue attachment. They will be sometimes attaching the screenshots with the ticket. And issue contains the priority. And issue contains assigned to. Assigned to is something which can be assigned to certain group because all our ABAPers are in one group. All the functional consultants are there in one group. All the analytics team is one group. All the other people are there, basis team are there one group. It should not go to the group which is not related to that, right? So it has to go to the assigned group. That means if it is a technical issue, it has to come to the technical team. If it is a functional issue, it has to go to the functional team. So like that, it would get automatically assigned. After that, reviewing that ticket, your lead or your manager will assign to the individual developers. That is called as assigned to. Okay, that is called as assigned to. And status. Initially, as and when the ticket has been assigned or the incident has been assigned, that would be in a new status. That would be in a new status. As and when the issue is in new status, it doesn't have any transport number or the delivery date. Okay, please keep clear, your concentration on this because if we go to the real time, in my case, in my as far as my knowledge is concerned, 80% of the projects are support projects. So when you get into the real time, this is how the support project works. So that is the reason I've clearly explained this process to each and every student of mine to get a clear understanding of what exactly the support process does. Okay, so you keep a clear concentration on this particular aspect. Okay, so the ticket has come like this, and the ticket is in high priority. Okay, so it was assigned to and it was in new status. So transport number has been not there, delivery date was not there, nothing. Okay, then if it is a high, you have to keep a complete concentration on it. First, you have to go through the ticket. If there is an attachment, double click on that attachment and see what is the content which is being lying over there. And once you see the content, if you have still have the clear doubts in your mind, you go to the functional people, ask them what needs to be done from my side. Okay, once you understood something from there, like you start the development. As and when you do the development, if it is already an existing program, you will be creating a new request. So that request you have to keep yourself. So once the ticket has been resolved, that means once the ticket, your development has been done. When you go to the functional consultant, ask him to test it. Or when you put the comment in the ticket description stating that the development has been done, functional people, please test it. So once the testing has been done from the functional consultant, it takes you to the next level. That means it gives to the user. So once the user has been tested, then this status will get into the closed. That means this get into the closed. Okay. So once your development has been completed, I'll just explain you once again. First, a ticket comes to our queue, then it would be assigned to you. Once the development gets completed, you will be intimating the functional consultant to test it. Once the functional testing has been completed, it goes to the end user. And once the end user has tested, once the confirmation has been received from his side, ticket will be automatically closed. Understood? Any questions in this slide? Any questions? Even the minute question also doesn't matter for me. I'll explain you what exactly the process is all about. I hope this is clear for everyone. Okay, let me get into the next slide. Okay. So in the SAP real-time level, actually, there are certain T codes which are given by SAP for us to access it. I've just mentioned the T codes in the technical perspective. So these are all the T codes which we will be regularly using in the real time, regularly using. Believe it me or not, we will be using these T codes only in the real time, mostly. I mean, apart from these many T codes, we'll be using it, but these are all the T codes technical person has to keep in their mind. You have the screenshots which will be there in your mobile. Like that, you have to remember these T codes at all. These T codes which I mentioned will have to be remembered for you forever in when you are into a technical role. Okay. So SE38 is an ABAP editor. SE80 is ABAP workbench. I'll show you each and every T code in the real time tomorrow when the system is up. So data dictionary, table display, SM30, SE93, there's a maintain transaction. SE24 is a class builder. SE37 is a functional builder. Smart forms, menu painter, screen painter, enhancements, project management of SAP enhancements, BADI builder, BADI implementation, RFC destination. So these, I would recommend you to go through these T codes as and when the slides PowerPoint has been shared to you. Go through these T codes and just butify yourself as and when you get into the system. You try it, what exactly it is actually, and then you will be it will be very easy for you to remember it. Okay. Next, functionality codes. There are certain cases where you have to get into the functional transactions and do the test cases of your own. That means when you perform the unit testing, functional will not come to every time to you to execute the process, right? So he'll show you how the process would be. And if it is an easy process, you can go through the process. Sometimes a functional needs to perform some activities based on that. He has to perform some testing. In that cases, it would be difficult for the technical consultant to cope up with him. So basically, these are all the transactions in the functional way, which you have to remember. If you remember all these functional transactions, that would be really helpful to you when you get into the real time. So first is SD. In the SD module, there are transactions like VA01, VA02, VA03, sales order create, change display. Remember one thing, any transaction in the real time, which contains 01 means create, 02 means change, 03 means display. It's a blind rule. 01 means create, 02 means change, 03 means display. Example, VA01 is a sales order creation, create 01, change 02, display 03. Like that. Delivery document, VL21N, 22N, 23N, change, create, display. VF01, VF02, VF03, create, change, display for billing document. Same like in module also, ME21N, 22N, 23N, PO creation, PO change, PO display, like that. So there are other transaction codes like MIGO, where the goods receipt will be done, MIRO, goods issue. And in FICO module, there are certain transactions like FB60, FB70, FB03, F-28, F-03, document posting, these things. And in PP, there are transactions like bomb creation, CS01, CS02, CS03, routing, everything would be there also. So as a technical person, we don't need to remember all these T codes. But certain T codes which I mentioned here would be very good, very much good enough for you to go through these and get a clear understanding over these T codes. When you get into the real time, it would be really helpful for you to perform these transactions and get some hands-on for that, because ultimately functional people will give you some test cases for you to execute. So you don't need to bother about if you don't understand these transactions at all in the real time. If you keep these transactions in your mind, it would be helpful for you. Now, the next topic which we are going to discuss today is a technical topic. We are getting slowly into the real time data types and all. So till here, whatever I explained you, any questions for today? Any questions on any slides by anyone? Because from tomorrow onwards, we will be getting into the programming completely. So I'll get the I'll get this SAP Logon sorted out today itself, and I'll start programming by from today onwards. As I mentioned last time, my teaching is mostly into the practicality, not more than like the theoretical concepts. So I'll be taking you mostly like 30 minutes in the day into the programming only. So I'll be teaching you everything. So my recommendation is like as and when the session gets completed, go through the PPT once and then go through the recording once and practice yourself. So that's what I would recommend you guys to do.
So, Kiran, the
Yeah.
system access will be provided, right?
Yeah, that system access will be provided. I mean, whom you contacted? I mean, from UnoGeeks, anybody contacted you for this?
No, not yet.
Okay, so then you just drop an email to them. They will be giving you to the system access and all.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. I hope I'm clear till now. So if you don't have questions, I'll proceed further.
Maybe Kiran, you might need to add some defects like the development complete, and then if any defect, the raising the defects. Yeah, for newcomers, they need to understand if there are
No,
any
that would be in
defects.
the real time, Dwarka. That would be
Yeah,
in
yeah. So,
since you are in real time, you know that actually. But they have
yeah.
to get a clear understanding of what exactly the support process works. So that's the reason I mentioned it here. So defects are
Okay,
something.
yeah, we can skip. Yeah.
Yeah, we can have it in the development as well as in the support as well actually. But this is the process everybody has to understand in the real time when they get into the real time. Basically, in the support level, this has to be clear to them actually. Okay. Okay, let's get into these data types. So in any of the programming language, in Java or C++, Python, anywhere actually, you have something called as data types. So same like those programming language, in ABAP also, you have the certain data types. So the data types, I categorize myself into three types. So one is fixed data type, one is a character data type, one is a variant data type. So what exactly is the fixed data type? Fixed data types also can be two types, numeric character. So numeric is something which is like everybody knows when they get into the programming language, integer, float, pack, decimal, all these things would be numeric. These are numeric data types. And when it comes to the character data types, so the character numeric, that means one also alphanumeric would be there. It contains both numeric and character. So that would be a kind of alphanumeric. We have a alphanumeric data type also in the SAP system. Okay. So that also comes under character data types. And we have date data types, time data types. So all these things would be kind of data types which are existing in ABAP programming language. And there is a variant data type. What exactly is a variant data type? How it varies from the fixed data type? Fixed data type is something which has a fixed length. If you give some length over here, so that would have that length actually. But variant data type is something that it varies actually. So that varies. There are certain things like string. When you give the string, you can give as much as length you can actually in the string level. There is no restriction over there. If you give 10 length, it takes the 10 length. If you give 1,000, if you give 1,000 length. So X string, that is one of the other data type we have it that contains hexadecimal values. Hexadecimal values, you will be getting it in for a few of the fields in SAP. That would comes under X string data type. Okay. Then, we have certain statements in ABAP where when you get into the programming, actually, you will be using it. I just differentiated between the C++. Why? Because most of the college passed outs or the kind of programming people knows about C++ more. So that's the reason I just segregated it. So first operation is input operation. When you go to the C, you have like a scanf, and C++ you have CIN, where you give the input to the program or some kind of report over there here. And in ABAP, the thing is parameters. Parameters would be the input. Okay. Output in C, you will be having printf. Printf, you printf and then you write something over there. That would be an output in C. And in C++, it would be cout. In ABAP, it would be written as a write statement. Write is one of the keyword which will be using to display the data in the output. And constants. Constants in C we will be using with const, and C++ also it does with the const, and we'll take the constants. Constant doesn't change the value in the program level. So in ABAP, we have a keyword called as constants. Constants will write and will take some value over there. We'll declare some value over there, and that constants will remain the constant in the whole program. Variable declaration. In C, you will be declaring like int x, float y, char f, like that. And after that, you'll assigning the values. In C++ also, you have the same thing. I mean, int x, float y, char f, decimal, same thing. You will be doing the same way as the C also does. C does in C++ as well. There is nothing much difference on it actually. In ABAP, what this does is there is a keyword called as data keyword. By using the data keyword, you will be declaring the variables in the system. So data X type I. Type is something for which data type was it been referring to. X is a variable here which you are declaring it as a type, and which type X is referring to, it is referring to integer data type. Now coming to Y, if you can see here Y, you declared Y, but which data type is referring to? It is referring to F, that means float data type. G, that means it is referring to character data type. Other thing, F, or it is referring to string data type, like that. So you declare it like this. Data So this is how you will declare in the real time. Okay, I'll show you practical way when it comes to the programming, how these declarations would be. But just to clear understanding, like how the data type works or statements works in ABAP, I'm just showing you this slide to you. Okay, and then programming rules. So programming rules are something which everybody has to know before getting into the programming. So the first and foremost rule was every statement ends with a period. That means when you declare something, this is how it should end it. This is how it should be ended in the real time. So when you write some code into the ABAP editor, I mean, ABAP editor is one of the transaction, I'll show you. So when you write some code into the ABAP editor, this is how you have to declare it. So every statement ends with a dot, period. ABAP statements or keywords are not case sensitive. That means you can write like this, you can write like this, you can write like this. If you see programming languages like Java, C, C++, Python, some programming languages are case sensitive, some are not case sensitive. But ABAP case statements or keywords are not case sensitive at all. ABAP is a space sensitive. That means you have to write like this only, not like this. That means this is how you have to write. You cannot write like you cannot write like this is an invalid statement and this is a valid statement. ABAP has that rule actually, so that you have to know it. And strings are enclosed in single quotes. When you write something like when you wanted to declare something, you have to declare like this. Like this. You have to declare like this. Every string variable has to be declared in the quotes. That is one of the rule. Okay. So star or quotes used for commenting. That means when you comment something, you can use star or quotes for commenting. And used at the beginning of the line to comment entire line. This star. This one star, and you if you keep that arrow, right, the dot arrow, that would be used at the beginning of the line to comment entire lines. When I write the first program in the real time, so you will be understanding how the things would work. I'll show you entire thing in the program level. Okay, and when you wanted to comment something in the middle to the rest of the line, you use this. Okay, so you have certain shortcuts. So to select the block of lines and choose comment, then you use control plus less than arrow. And to uncomment block of lines, you choose control plus greater than arrow. These are certain programming rules. If you go through it and when the first program has been developed, then you will be getting a clear understanding of what exactly I mentioned here. And important thing. So okay, so I'll close this topic. I mean, I'll stop this topic once I complete this topic. Actually, close this class today. So different kinds of systems which exist in the real time. So the systems are development, quality, and production. So what exactly development system is all about? Development system is something where you do the development, functional do the configuration. So everything would be readily available over there in the development system. So development system contains the data. So, but the quality system contains a different data, production system contains the different data. It might not be all the cases like you have all the data in all the systems as the same. It might differ actually. Okay. So what exactly in the development system, what the technical person will do? Technical person will do all the rise of objects in the development system only. As and when the development system, the rise of objects has been developed, then he will be moving that development to quality system. And functional people will does the testing in the quality system. And once the test cases have been successful and the scenario works fine as per the expectation, then they will move to the production system. And in the production system, Asian Paints, in our example as a customer, uses that production development in the real time. Okay, that's how. So how the content will be transferred from here to there? So contents will be transferred from here to there through package, through the package. So developer will create a package in the system. So tomorrow I'll show you how the package also works. So what I does in my general training scenario is I'll create every program in the package itself. I'll not create these programs in the local object. I'll show you the example, the understanding of local object and the package. So when you take everything in one package, when students refer to that package, they'll have all the programs which are available over there. Okay. I believe like you and me are using the same system when you get the server. So when you go through that particular package, you get the program over there and you take that program, practice yourself. That would be easy for you to, go through that programs. And then I don't need to send the programs every day to you. So since the programs are already available in that package, you can go to that package and you refer to that package and get some programs from there and for your practice. Okay. Then what exactly in the real time a developer does? Developer creates a program in the real time. He saves it in a package. So when he saves it in a package, then the package will be moved to the next system. That means all the developments, that means he creates a program, he creates a table, creates a structure, he creates some enhancement, everything would be there in one package, right? So entire package will be moved to the next system. So as and when the entire package moves to the next system, the developments which are residing in it also will be moving it. So that would be an easy task for the developer to move the contents of entire contents into one particular pack, and they will be moving it to the next system. That he does actually. Okay. But the package which he developed in the development system should be the correct package which he moved. That's a pretty much important point which I have to highlight here. Because when you save some development in one package and when you move another package to the system, your development will not be moved. So you make sure that your development gets completed and the development should be saved in the one package which you saved it, and that package only should be moved to the quality system and then accordingly to the production system. Okay. There is something called as local object. What exactly the local object is? Local object will be there within the system itself. That means it is restricted to that system. When you save something in the local object, that would be there within that system itself. You cannot able to transfer that local object content to the next subsequent systems. So that is the reason in the real time, it is advisable to save your development in the package level. Okay. So when you go to the real time, who gives the package to me? You have to ask to the lead or the manager. So you can ask like Sriram is since there is a guy called Kiran. So Kiran is your manager. So Kiran, you can ask me like Kiran, what is the package which I have to hold my development into? What is the package where my table has to be resides? So you gave the development, I finished my development. Which package it has to be stored actually? So before getting into the development only, the package would be needed for you. So in that case, actually, you have to ask your lead or a manager to give the package accordingly. Your development will get stored in the package. Okay. So as and when it gets to the package, that's when it moves to the subsequent systems. Hope it is clear for everyone. Okay. There are certain keywords in the programming section. So I'll explain you in the real time all these keywords, but I'm just mentioning you what are all the keywords we have. Variables with strings or character types, as I already gave the glimpse of it, how the character variables will be declared and string variables will be declared, or the integer will be declared. And I have give each and every example of it tomorrow. So left justified, left justified, right justified, centered, concatenate, condense with no gaps, sterlen, string length, replace all occurrences, split, everything. I'll be giving it one example to make for you to easily practice it actually. Okay. So one program, I'll give every example as such. So you can practice everything in one program level. And as I mentioned, I'll save that program into a package wherein if you are using the same system, you can go through that package and you can get into the system and you take that example, practice yourself. Okay, that would be an easy task for you to go ahead. Okay, So I'll stop today till here, and I hope this is clear for you guys. And if there are any questions, like you can ask me now.
Yeah, one question, Kiran,
Yeah, please.
about the local object.
Yeah.
So in real time,
Mm.
do we use that concept, or we don't? We normally use the package concept only in real time.
Yeah, generally speaking, in the real time, nobody uses a local object worker because local object is something, as you know, right? Everybody wants to move the developments to the next system. So sometimes what will happen, I wanted to try a program wherein it should not be moved to the next system. So it is just for my trial only, for my understanding only. I want to test something actually. So in that case, I'll write a program and I'll save it in the local object. So I don't want it to move, right? So that is the reason I just test myself, how far my program works, and I'll save it in the local object. So people save the contents in the local object, but that they will make sure that the local object content cannot be transferred to the quality system. So if they keep that statement in their mind, then only they'll save it in the local object. We have the concept of local object in the real time, but it is limited to some extent. When you don't want to move something, when you wanted to test yourself for some content over here in the same system, you take to the local object. And the local object things also, you can able to refer it. That will not clear off actually. So I'll show you how the local objects things also resides in the system. And if you want to refer something in the local objects, you can refer easily from there actually. Okay.
Maybe in sandboxes, the developers might try the
No,
local objects, right? In
in
sandboxes.
sandboxes generally they'll do the job like that, but even in the development system also few developers does it. So how
Okay.
they does is actually they'll create some program and they test the program from their self. They can get an understanding, oh, this program is working and all. So then what these people will do, these people save that particular content in the local object actually. So for their practice purposes, sometimes some nobody will restrict you to save it in the local object, but certain companies like Deloitte and then like JP Morgan and then like Capgemini, they'll strictly have that particular thing. Don't save anything in the local object because basis people always monitor the local object things also. If you save it actually, so the memory consumption will be get increased, right? So they'll restrict the people over there actually.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. Any other questions from anyone? So Asma, you are you understanding the things or you have any questions?
Yes, Kiran, you are explaining very nice. I can
Okay.
understand. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, cool. Thank you. So, Asma, one thing, since you are from the MTech background and you don't have any programming background as such, what I recommend you is actually, it's not for Asma, it's for everyone. Just go through the recording every day, and from tomorrow onwards, as I told you, right, I'll be starting the programming. So, as I already mentioned, I'm just reiterating the same thing. I will be my teaching will be more on the practical side rather than technical side. I mean, theoretical side. I'll explain you the theoretical side in a clear way where you can understand everything in a broader perspective. But when you get into the system and practice yourself, then only you'll get an understanding. It's not about listening my class and get an understanding over here. So this 1 hour, 1.5 hour session will be there for you only to understand the concept. After that, you have to practice it for at least 3 hours or 2 hours, depends on your IQ thing. So when you practice it, you will be in a position to what I can say is go move forward very quickly. I mean, next, so tomorrow I'll be giving a program wherein all the statements which are there in ABAP will reside. So the slide which I show to you. So that is pretty much important in the real time. When you practice it, you'll get a clear understanding how the left justified works, how the right justified works, how the centered works, how the concatenate works, how the condense works, like that. So when you practice it, what will happen is it will give you a confidence actually. So from the next program onwards, whenever I use all these keywords and all, okay, this Kiran has already told this in the previous class. So okay, I got an understanding over it. That's not a problem. Like that, you will be in a position to get the confidence over it. Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Kiran.
Yeah. Virendra, you have any questions or you're following the classes? So Virendra, you're in mute. Okay. No problem. We'll discuss in tomorrow's class. Okay. Thank you so much, guys, for your time, and we'll meet in next class. So I'll share the recording to you, and I'll share the slides of the PPT as well today. Okay. Thank you so much once again, and we'll meet tomorrow. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Kiran.
Thank you,
Thanks, and have a
Kiran.
great day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.